I want to thank you, Madam Chairperson, Madam Chairwoman. Your stellar leadership on this committee and in other areas of the House for the American people has not gone unnoticed. You are heralded from coast to coast as being one of the key and one of the most effective members of this Congress. I want to also say good morning to my friend for many years. We were elected together in 1992. He took a vacation, wisely so, and he's returned. Congressman Bill Bray, it's so good to be with you and be before you this morning. I would also extend my note of you being one of the most effective members of the House of Representatives, but you are from a different party, so I can't give you those accolades. But it's good to see you, my friend. To all the members of the subcommittee, I am so delighted to be here. I want to thank you for inviting me to testify before your subcommittee on this important hearing on minority contracting opportunities and challenges for current and future minority-owned businesses. During the first half of 2009, Congress took extraordinary steps to turn the nation's economy around and create jobs that will fuel our economic recovery. Many states have already begun to distribute contracts. However, across the country, minority-owned firms are being shut out of the process because of what I call artificial barriers that I believe that this Congress must simply break down. Also, on the outside of the federal marketplace, minority-owned firms are struggling, desperately trying to stay afloat and find the needed financial and technical assistance to continue their operations. In business, the metaphor of the, quote, level playing field, end quote, comes to mind. But that metaphor doesn't quite describe the circumstances for minority-owned businesses. Far from being on the playing field, many minority businesses and business owners find themselves standing outside the stadium doors where the playing of the business games in America are being conducted. Standing on the outside of the stadium in a crowd, trying to raise their voices over the din and over the noise and over the clamor that's going on of businesses who are indeed inside the stadium and playing in the American game of business. They're speaking with one voice as loud as they can. They're saying, "We're here. Look at us, recognize us, acknowledge us. We're here and we want to participate in the American economy." Madam Chair, that's why I'm here today, because so many of these business persons in my community, in my district, in yours, and districts like ours, they can't be here. Their voices won't be heard today, so I'm here to speak for them in my own way. The question remains to me and to so many others that I represented, why are these companies continually shut out of a process that these men and women, who are also taxpayers, citizens of this nation, veterans of wars of this nation, why are they also, why are they out of the process, and how can we help fund and support them? Quite frankly, Madam Chair, I find that this situation is totally unacceptable, and I believe that all of you join me in this. Historically, minority-owned firms have long faced an uphill battle in gaining a foothold on the national economic scene. In 1997, a study by the Urban Institute identified several obstacles faced by minority-owned businesses. At the top of that list was a lack of access to financial capital, limited access to informal business networks, lesser skilled human capital, and limited access to non-minority markets. I'm here today unequivocally stating that by building up minority firms, we can begin to truly drive the economic recovery that Congress and the Obama administration has been so diligently working towards. I spent some time looking for ways to assist minority-owned firms of all sizes and including all business sectors in their efforts to succeed and prosper in their efforts to create jobs in our nation. Minority business and business owners employ nearly 5 million Americans. I looked at the Minority Business Development Agency in my research, and the MBDA. This agency is under the auspices of the Department of Commerce, and it's the only federal agency, the only federal agency in the last 40 years that was created specifically to help minority-owned firms. This agency was created during the years of Richard Nixon, and it has languished in the Department of Commerce, fighting to stay alive, really struggling against tremendous odds, trying to help minority businesses prosper and gain a foothold in the American economy with little to no help from the U.S. Congress, an ignored agency for the most part. Unfortunately, even today, it still currently lacks the resources it truly needs to bring about significant change, particularly in today's tough economic climate. If there ever was a time when this agency, given its mission of 40 years ago, needs to be strengthened, I say the time is now. There's no better time than now. Now is the time. To that end, I introduced my bill, H.R. 4343, the Minority Business Development Improvement Act of 2009. If adopted, this bill will establish the Minority Business Development Program to assist qualified minority businesses by providing technical assistance, loan guarantees, and contracting procurement assistance. The bill authorizes the director of the MBDA to certify any entity as a qualified minority business that satisfies each of the 8 criteria outlined in the bill. The bill authorizes $200 million to the director to carry out the technical assistance program and $500 million for loan guarantees. The bill will also allow firms participating in the program to bid on select set-aside contracts for goods and services. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of this committee, I believe that it's time to bring the Minority Business Development Agency to the forefront of our nation's economic recovery. And I'm sure that other witnesses at today's hearing will concur with me. I'm also sure that each one of you have felt in your own way the desire to turn things around and to regain our economic footing for the people in our local communities and throughout the nation. Madam Chair, I urge members of this subcommittee to join me in an effort to create a viable platform for minority-owned business development. Again, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to address this auspicious and this very important committee of the U.S. House of Representatives. And I thank you, and I am available for questions if you might have.